There's now talk about a 93.5% tariff on battery material from China. So far, though, the company that broke this news from the Commerce Department is Bloomberg, and they're only referring to graphite, which is a really big deal because there are other components that could be a lot more expensive for companies like Tesla. Worth noting some details here. So about 2/3 to as much as 90% of graphite anodes, basically one of the parts or one of your components of a battery, come from China. So China's really got their grasp on this, but they've also got a lot of a grasp on nickel and cobalt. Now, in terms of graphite, an extended tariff on graphite alone probably isn't that big of a deal. We've really only got about upwards of maybe like 1/3 to half of a kilogram of graphite or Chinese graphite per battery pack for, let's say, a Tesla, for example, which would really only add like $4 to $6 per pack. Not that big of a deal, even if you raise tariff costs a lot on graphite. Where there's much more of a concern would be on nickel or cobalt. Look, for example, at just nickel. If you doubled the taxes on nickel imports for battery materials at current costs of about $28 per kilogram, using about 30 per each NCA and MMC battery, well, now you're potentially adding $500 to $800 of cost per pack. Which, if you package that on top of the already 55% imports from China, import tariffs from China, you're probably looking at taking about a 1% hit to margin here if this is on all battery materials, especially that nickel import. Now, here's what you got to know about Tesla, for example, right now. They've got a whole different bunch of battery chemistries. The old S's and X's were in partnership with Panasonic, or made with a partnership with Panasonic, and they were the NCA batteries. These are your nickel, manganese, cobalt batteries, also a form of a lithium battery. Then you have the 2170 NMC batteries. These are used in China and the European Union, also nickel, manganese, cobalt. Elon Musk doesn't really like cobalt. These are usually used in the Model 3s and Ys. So in America, we use more of the NCAs, which also still have cobalt, but less. Lithium, nickel, cobalt, aluminum batteries. These are used in the Model 3s and Ys as well, the 2170s. Partnership between Tesla, LG, and Panasonic to deliver these. And then, of course, you have the 4680 cells. These are used in some Model Ys, but mostly Cybertrucks. This is where Tesla has this advantage of potentially manufacturing all their batteries at home at some point in the future. Just know where we currently sit on 4680 production. We've so far produced about 100 mil, puts Tesla somewhere at about maybe a 200 million 4680 cell production level per year. If you divide this into how many cells each vehicle has, like a Model Y having about 828 cells, you're doing about 120,000 Model Ys if you're putting them into Model Ys, but more obviously cells going into the Cybertruck, so fewer vehicles. This probably means somewhere around, if you do 200 million 4680 cells locally, you're really only covering somewhere between 10 to maybe on the really good side 20% of Tesla vehicles through domestic production of batteries. And most of them are going to be incorporating Chinese materials through their chemistries. This means that, yes, there is a tariff impact that comes from tariffing all batteries from China. Now, right now, we've already got 55% tariffs on China in general for all imports. We have a total 82% tariff on lithium battery packs from China, but that's on the battery packs. Now, since we're taking a lot of material from China and assembling it in the United States, it's possible the Commerce Department is looking, going, this is a loophole, and so we need to tax some of the components higher. I actually think some of this is because of Donald Trump's issues with, frankly, Elon Musk, and it's kind of a directed attack towards Elon Musk, kind of trying to hit Elon where it hurts because, well, I mean, let's be frank, Elon's kind of also trying to hit Trump where it hurts. We know that Elon is a big proponent of talking about the Epstein files on nearly a daily basis, and it seems like more and more we're getting responses from Trump in not a loud way, but a relatively quiet way. For example, here were just tweets 11 hours ago. Where's phase 2 of the Epstein files? Here's a thinking emoji about the DOJ reports regarding FBI seizures from Epstein's properties, videos and photos likely in secure FBI vaults and likely heavily redacted to protect victims, suggesting, hey, if they're redacted, why not release them? Epstein recorded everything, somebody replies, to which, of course, Elon puts 100. And then, what's your best guess as to where videos of Epstein are located right now? That's where we get the FBI commentary. We also get Elon Musk. I mean, you can see it's going on and on and on about Epstein. We also get him sort of mocking this idea that Donald Trump calls it a hoax. And we know that a lot of people on the right want these Epstein files released. And Elon Musk has made it a priority of the America Party to release the Epstein files and find out what was actually in them, which of course Elon has also gone as far as alleging that Donald Trump is in them, and so is Steve Bannon. He also indicates, this sort of question, exclamation mark, surprise here, there were 250 girls exploited. Again, as Maxwell, helped recruit young girls to give massages to Epstein and then eventually get coaxed into sexual acts for money. This pressure by Elon Musk isn't being met with direct blowback from Donald Trump talking about Elon anymore. We don't hear a lot of that. I think it's probably, hey, Commerce Secretary, find out how to keep the pressure up on them. Mind you, you've already seen that electric vehicle tax credits are going to be expiring for those $7,500 or $4,500 unused. Those expire September 30th at the end of the year. You'll also see tax credits expiring on solar purchases, but not solar leases and power purchase agreements. So power purchase agreements and leases, they'll keep getting tax credits. And guess what Tesla doesn't do? Leases and power purchase agreements. What's expiring? Direct purchase agreements of direct buys of Tesla solar products. And those tax benefits are expiring. So you're seeing this consistent pressure here by Donald Trump on Elon. Again, right now, the Bloomberg article refers to just graphite, which I basically don't think has much of an effect at all on Tesla. If you look at Tesla stock, it's bouncing essentially off my 318.62 line. Remember that in today's alpha report, not only have we been pitching Open Door since it was 60 cents, but we mentioned this morning in pre-market, this is extended. It's time to set trailing stops. And even though it was up like 40% this morning, it's only up 12% now. So we basically got the momentum going in and we identified the top so far in the alpha report. And if you're not part of that yet, make sure you go to meetkevin.com to take advantage of coupon code Mr. Too Late. We do currently have the pay once and stay in it offer, which basically means you pay once, you get lifetime access to the courses, the trade alerts, all the live streams, all the various different programs, the tax programs we're going to be talking about regarding the now big beautiful bill as well, Trumponomics. So a lot of interesting content. There is various reporting, though, on this 93.5% because this is still preliminary. It's unclear exactly what components are going to be included. See, if you look over here, this says the U.S. has announced a significant tariff increase on battery materials imported from China, but it doesn't mention graphite, whereas the Bloomberg piece does mention graphite, which again is a smaller component. I think worst case scenario, if you total up all the tariffs, yes, you're looking at a 1% to 2% margin hit. For Tesla, and worst case, if we apply just these nickel, these tariffs to nickel, graphite, and all the other components, all the way up to 93.5%, I think you're at about a 1% tariff hit. That's because we'd really be going from 55 to 93.5%, right? So there's that difference, that delta of 1 when I say 1% to 2%. It's worth remembering that batteries are historically very profitable for Tesla. If you go to the Tesla Investor Relations page, you'll actually find that Tesla batteries in their shareholder decks, in their energy division, help them generate a lot of margin. So obviously, in addition to the regulatory credits, which are now disappearing. But go to energy generation for a moment, and you can see energy generation at $2.7 billion here. And when we go to the cost of energy generation or energy storage or whatever here, we're at $19.45 in costs, which means our gross profit margin's about 29%. That's compared to the automotive sector, which is probably at this point less than 16%, especially without those ZEV credits. So you've almost got double the margin in the energy and battery side for Tesla, which is really important. The problem is even that energy and battery side is set to get punished by, these wind and solar hits. In fact, Bloomberg Intelligence via their ecological research suggests that U.S. tax credit changes may cut clean energy buildouts by 23%. The big, beautiful bill has slashed U.S. clean energy outlook by 23%. Bloomberg NEF's new base case build forecast versus the first half of 2025 clean energy market outlook. And you basically just get kind of like a drop-off in the build-outs. And on net, decreases the build-out of wind, solar, and energy deployments between 2025 and 2030. So over the next 5 years, by about 23%. That's sort of a bottom line takeaway. Again, a lot of sort of punishing for wronging, probably, or in Trump's mind, Donald Trump, Elon doing that. I think this is why a lot of people want Elon out of politics. It's actually exactly why, the House Hack board wants us to make an announcement about politics and removing the impact of politics and that sort of exposure to like running for governor or whatever. Because first of all, we think we've got really great things coming for House Hack, not only House Hack as a company and our real estate, but also the AI that we want to start licensing in the fourth quarter. Stay tuned for the announcement on that. You could learn more about the company at househack.com and invest in our Reg A if you want to be part of that from a venture capital point of view. You can invest in the company even before we make the announcement. But the point is, obviously read the risks and the paperwork and everything involved with making an investment. But the point is, you have a broader clean energy market that keeps getting targeted by Donald Trump. And so while we don't yet have all this clarity on this Commerce Department dumping scheme to, whack China a little bit more, you do kind of see more and more attacks on China, with the exception of in the chip sector. Probably because now you've got some people over in the White House suggesting that, hey, the Chinese using NVIDIA chips and using CUDA actually helps America, and it helps keep China on American platforms rather than keeping them in a position where they want to develop their own. I think this is why you ended up having this this sort of idea of, hey, let's license H20s again to China. So it's a good thing. It's great for NVIDIA. And so is that Lucid announcement this morning. Fantastic for NVIDIA. I think that's why NVIDIA is up another 1% today, helping the NASDAQ bounce. Entertaining also this morning in the Alpha report, I said, hey, you need to bounce at 557.20 today. And then I think you could go bullish on the retail sales data. Literally written out in our Alpha report and talked about in our course member live stream. And look at what happened, because I released the Alpha report in pre-market. And look at what happened. We bounced within 1 penny of my line, and we were basically straight up from there. So, for example, if you bought a day call just following that bounce, it would have done fantastically on the day. Just saying. Something to look at if you want to be part of that. Consider that Alpha report over at meetkevin.com. Remember, you pay once, and you are in forever. So, but anyway, broadly, at the moment, if this is just on graphite, not a big deal on Tesla. But it does signal that continued pressure on Tesla, which is probably why you're back to the 318 line, that pressure from Trump against Tesla. But it does obviously affect all EVs and frankly, battery manufacturing. It just encourages more in the United States. And Tesla does that. We want to see those 4680s expand. Though, in fairness, you have seen a limited amount of talk from Elon Musk about 4680s, which has led a lot of people to suggest that maybe they're just not as good as he hoped.
Why not advertise these things that you told us here? I feel like nobody else knows about this.
We'll try a little advertising and see how it goes.
Congratulations, man. You have done so much. People love you. People look up to you.
Kevin Paffrath there, financial analyst and YouTuber. Meet Kevin. Always great to get your take.